Hello everybody and welcome to SARA TV. This is the Sim Auto Racing Association Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series. We are at Pensacola, Florida tonight at Five Flags Speedway for the Midwest Powersource 150, where you will see iRacing's premier short track Super Late Model League drivers do battle here for 150 laps of Super Late Model action. Before we get into tonight's festivities, we'll talk about last week. If you joined us last week, you have seen that Jim Caudell Jr. walked away with this back-to-back victories at Southern National Motorsports Park for the Canadian RailServe 150, and he closed the gap on our point leader, Joe Schaefer Jr. And as those two guys, along with Jimmy Mullis, battle down here in these last few weeks, we'll definitely have to keep an eye on those three guys and see how this points battle ends up playing out. So here we are coming into this week, and like I said, for the Midwest Powersource 150, and those guys are currently up and practicing right now, and Joe Schaefer Jr. is P3 on the practice board ahead of Jim Caudell Jr., who's 11th, and Jimmy Mullis, who is 8th, respectively. So he'll have the jump on them. And we'll go through the grid here before too long to let you know where those guys are and others when we start tonight's race. Now, normally I have up here by myself in the booth, but for this week I have a special guest with me. He decided to hang up the helmet here this week and come up to the booth and help me out. I got Mr. Ty, the Wiley Vet Spearman. Ty, thanks for coming up here and joining me tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing a lot better that I'm not racing. This is it's awfully fun to watch these guys race. And since I'm not really happy with the car, it's more fun to watch them race than it is to actually race it.
Well, you know, even with the downfalls of the car currently, these guys still put on a great race no matter what, more often than not. So it'll be great to hear your expertise, being that you've raced with us in this league for numerous seasons and numerous years. And we'll definitely call upon you multiple times tonight and get your input on it. Now, we know that Five Flags can be a little bit challenging, and it's a fast racetrack, at that. What are the challenges here tonight for these drivers?
So I think, first of all, this track is literally 7 miles from my house, which is pretty cool. And I guess since it's now my home track, I probably should have raced it. But nonetheless, I think some of the challenges of this track, really off of turn 2 as well as off of turn 4, the track really takes you out to the wall as you exit the corners. Now, the car, as is, has a lot of rotation to it coming off the corners. It just rotates unbelievably. So what happens is as you're coming off the corner, that, like I said, the track will actually take you to the wall. So what happens is the guys feel like they're tight. They're loose at the same time with the car rotating, so now they're putting more wheel into it to get the car to turn, and inevitably the rear wheels will not hook up and they will just spin right around. I think that's one of the biggest things that you'll see happen tonight. You'll see a lot of guys that really have a self-spin, just losing traction as they go out towards the wall and pull the wheel to the left.
Well, forward drive is going to be key here, is basically what you're getting at there a little bit as well. And I know you were admin last night for the Davis Chassis Works Contender Series, and there was some action going on in my race in the back there where guys were having a handful. I could see it in the mirror a little bit, and I can hear y'all call it out. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on these guys. These guys are a little bit better than what's in the Davis Chassis Works Contender Series, as this is an invite-only series for the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series. So we'll see what kind of show that they put on. Now I want to go ahead and bring in someone as well. It's tonight's sponsor, and he's also in this race. He drives the number 21 Midwest Powersource, our insurance options, best overhead doors, Dynamic Auto Sports Super Late Model. He's out of Langley, Virginia. Jason Tarasico, thanks, buddy, for coming up here and talking to us real quick. I'll hold you up here on the practice or anything. And before we talk about tonight's race a little bit, can you tell us a little bit about Midwest Powersource, and even for last week's sponsor in the Canadian RailServe 150? Got back-to-back sponsorships going on here with us, so can you provide some little insight on those two things?
Yeah, you bet, man. So Midwest Powersource, we're a diesel engine rebuilder for mainly locomotives and also the marine industry. We do anything from 900 horsepower all the way up to 4,000 horsepower. So I get to deal with kind of the big stinky diesel stuff, but it's an interesting thing. It's lots of parts, lots of pieces, lots of horsepower. It's a lot of fun. Kind of ties in with Canadian Rail Serve, CRLX. It's a leasing company of locomotives that we have. It's mainly for the Canadian market. We've also got one for the U.S. market, but yeah, we lease locomotives out to short lines, small industrial guys, things like that. We can provide the maintenance with them or without maintenance, that sort of thing. So it's kind of a cool industry. It's a small industry, amazingly enough, with the number of railroads that they are. But we mainly deal with a lot of the small guys that serve up to the big guys like Norfolk Southern, Union Pacific, things like that. So yeah, it's a fun job.
Well, I mean, it sounds super interesting to me. Is there anywhere that anybody can go to go check these services out? Any websites or anything like that?
Yeah, so we got www.midwestpowersource.com, and then I believe that we have www. And it's crlxloco.com. So that's the one for the Canadian side of the leasing.
All right, awesome. Well, be sure to go check that out, as they are huge supporters here for the Sim Auto Racing Association. I believe this is your 4th sponsorship for just this year alone for our races. So we here at SARA and SARA TV greatly appreciate that. And without your support and some other sponsors that we have as well, we couldn't do this. So we appreciate that. But go ahead and put your driver hat on here for me. Currently, you're showing P6 on the practice boards. What do you got here tonight, and what are you expecting?
Well, typical of this car, it seems like if you got a good early run like that, you got a good lap, it may not, play out at the end of the race. So last night we were decent, came all the way from like 15th all the way up to 6th. We chased down the 3rd and 4th place guy almost 4 seconds right near the end there. So we got a great long run car. I did make some changes here. I'm trying a little bit of experimental stuff like everybody is, because this car's been a bit of a struggle, but it's a fun track. It's a little bit harder to pass on this track now with this car, but I'm looking forward to it. I think we got something a little decent here. I didn't get a lot of time with it with the summertime stuff here and work and everything, but I think we got a decent piece. We'll be there at the end, I think.
Well, we will definitely keep an eye on your car here, and maybe by the end of the night, finishing the top 3, we'll have a talk to you there as well.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate all you guys do. That's why we try and step up on the sponsorship for you, because you guys do a really good job. Matt, puts in so much effort and that sort of thing, and it's just a great series. I'm little down at their car count in comparison to what we've had in past years and stuff like that, but hopefully they can get a new build going on this car and some tweaking on this car, and maybe bring some guys back that aren't necessarily running right now.
Yeah, 100%. I feel once the new build comes in and everything gets squared away, the car counts will jump back up tremendously, and it'll be tighter than ever to get into this field. But good luck to you tonight, and maybe we'll talk to you there at the end. Okay?
Yeah, you bet, man. Again, appreciate all you guys do, and we'll hopefully talk to you at the end.
All right, bud. Well, that's Jason Tarasenko. Like I said, we'll keep an eye on him here tonight and see where he ends up. We'll go ahead and bring in one last guy. This guy qualified on the pole here tonight, beating his teammate Tim Bills by 1,000th of a second, and that is the number 66 car of David Gregorian. DK, thanks for joining us here real quick and take some time out of your practice sesh. You put it on the top spot here tonight, and you will be starting. There was an invert, so you won't be starting on the pole, but why don't you talk to us a little bit through your qualifying run real quick. I kept an eye on you, and it looks like you had to abort on your first run. What happened there?
I kind of overdrove it a little bit too deep. The start of practice was kind of my first attempt at qualifying, and so couldn't really get a good gauge of what I could run with it on a completely clean track with actually getting some practice runs in. So I kind of just went for it in turn 1 thinking it would stick, and didn't really want to stick.
Well, you aborted that one. You came out on your second lap, and like I said, you barely beat your teammate there in Tim Bills by 1,000th of a second, so apparently you guys have something figured out. Let's talk about your race trim. You're currently out here turning some laps as we currently speak, and it looks like you're P16 on the board, but what do you think that you got here tonight as you finished second last week?
Now, I don't really worry about the single lap in the warm-up session, but if last week was any indicator, we're on the doorstep now, and Donald and AJ, and I think Russell ran last night too, were running pretty good in the contender race, so we've got some tonight, and we'll just see what it does. We're on the doorstep now, but it's getting those last minor changes in to make it a race-winning car.
All right, well, we'll definitely keep an eye on you as well here. because that you've been fast last week, and you typically run well here. And like I said, you put up fast time. Before we get you on your way so you can finish up practice here, is there any thanks or shout-outs you'd like to give?
Shout out to everyone over at Wheeling Dealing and Tim Bills. We've really been aggravated with this car the whole season, and the last couple weeks it's been nice to drive a car that handles well again.
All right, bud. Well, good luck to you here tonight, and if you finish here in the top 3, we'll talk to you at the very end of the night.
All right, well, we'll see you guys there.
All right. And that was David Kokorian out of Los Angeles, California, and the number 66 Exalted Chevrolet. So, like I said, he's had fast time here tonight, and he'll probably be fast here once again as the Wheeling Dealing Motorsports guys have kind of figured something out with this build. Let's go ahead and bring up the standings here to go ahead and show you the points, how things are playing out right now. Like I said, it's pretty much a 3-horse race as we're coming down to the last 3 weeks of the season. Like I said, you got 5 Flags here tonight, Martinsville next week, so that should be interesting to see. And then finally, last but not least, where we always end up is at Lanier National Speedway. But currently your point leader is Joe Schaefer Jr. He's a 3-time series champion. Right behind him, who's been fast here in the past few weeks, and like I said, he's won the last 2 races, and Jim Caudell Jr. Third is Jimmy Mullis. Fourth is Cameron Hamilton. Fifth is Keith Meadows, who's ran well here, and he ran well last night as well in the Davis Chassis Works Contender Series, coming away with 2nd place, if I'm not mistaken. In 6th place is the guy we just spoke with, and David Kokorian. 7th is Trevor Edwards, who will start on the pole here tonight due to the 8-car invert. 8th is our series and league admin, Matt Rolfe. 9th is the guy that's up in the booth with me, so he may fall out of the top 10 here, Ty. And then 10th is Brandon Wilkinson. We'll go ahead and bring up the series sponsors here as well. Go ahead and give them a quick shout out. Like I said, for the sponsor for tonight's race is Sim Marketing Solutions. Wednesday nights and for the super late models is the Davis Chassis Works. Heinz Pride Leather and Sheepskin, I'll speak to that here in just a moment as well. They're sponsoring our head-to-head Heinz Pride Leather and Sheepskin showdown. Midwest Powersource Inc., who's sponsoring here tonight. Callaway Investment Street Stocks, Callaway Investments, who sponsors our Street Stock series. Race1.us, Canadian Rail Serve. The Hub, used race giveaways. I'll get it out eventually. Lokotoko Designs, Dynamic Autosports, USO, and Can-Am Racing Series, and East-West Modifieds. Looks like the cars are going to be start gridding up here. And as soon as they do, we'll go ahead and bring up the grid and go through tonight's starting lineup. Starting on pole here tonight, like I said, due to the 8-car invert, is Trevor Edwards. Outside of him is Cameron Hamilton. Starting in row 2 is Matt Rolfe. The outside of him is Ryan Matthews. Jimmy Mullis, 3rd in points. Starting up in front of those other guys that he's behind in points is starting 5th. Tim Bills, like I said, who qualified 2nd, technically, is starting 6th. David Kokorian, who was fastest in qualifying, is starting 7th. And A.J. Rogers with a really good qualifying run in 8th. Joe Schaefer Jr. and Jim Caudell's in row 5. Row 6 is Donald Clark and Michael Goddard. Just behind them is Russell Brown Jr. and Samuel Roush. Starting 15th is Justin Warner. 16th, Kyle Souza. 17th, Chris Canfield. 18th, Brandon Wilkinson. 19th, Brian Helm. 20th, Jason Tarasenko. Like I said, we spoke with him, and he was fast in practice, so maybe we'll see if he can make his way up to the top 10 or even further. Starting 21st is Matthew Eddy. 22nd, Tyler Brown. 23rd, Adam Jocelyn. 24th, Mark Royer. 25th, Russell Berry. And last but certainly not least is Keith Meadows. And like I said, he's right there in the top 5 in points. And he had a really good run last night. And like I said, if I'm not mistaken, finishing P2. So that's our grid. And like I said, the start here will be on Trevor Edwards. And not sure if the pace car pulls off here early on this first lap or not. It doesn't, so we got another lap. So, Ty, go ahead and bring you back in here. If you're Trevor Edwards, what are you looking for here at the very initial start of this green flag?
Well, the first thing you want to do is not spin your tires. It's really easy to do. And then really after that, honestly, you want to get settled in. You don't want to push the car too hard. You don't want to try to, if you got someone breathing down your neck, you might just let them go. Just pace yourself. That's the biggest thing. It's 150 laps, so it's a long race. Don't burn up your tires.
Well, we'll see what he does here. The controlled start here is on Trevor Edwards. Once the pace car gets all 4 tires off the racing surface, he can do pretty much as he pleases until the green flag goes out. And the pace car is pulled off, and we are green, 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 and he gets off to that great start you're talking about. Cameron Hamilton's going to fall in just behind him in the 10 car. Matt Rolfe is on the inside of Ryan Matthews. They go down into 3 and 4, still side by side for third. Jimmy Mullis is going to be right there in 5th, in which way he can go. Now the inside line is going to be the preferred line around here for a little bit. But in last night's race, there were some guys that were able to make it work on the outside, especially on the entry of the turn. Rolfe's going to finally get around Matthews, and so is Mullis. So Matthews falls back to 5th as the top 6, 7, 8 guys, about 10 guys now, are going to be single file. You got all the front point leaders running up front here in the top 10 early on in this race. Single file back to the left now. Samuel Roush in the 13 car just on the inside. Now he's showing his nose on the inside of Donald Clark. Like Jimmy Mullis is going to go ahead and get around Matt Rolfe here for third. He's not waiting around. Here comes Ryan Matthews on the inside. And if you're Matt Rolfe, you're going to try to find your way back down to the inside. As early on this outside lane, as he does, he just squeezes in. It's not going to come in. But as the track temperature goes up, as the laps go on, especially in the green, that outside line may be able to come in. Now, Ty, you've ran really well here before in the past. Have you ever been able to get it work on the outside at any point in time, or are you just bottom feeding the whole way around?
Well, I mean, like you said, I mean, it does take some laps, but eventually the outside line will probably start to come in. Now, I don't know about, I know race 2 last night only had 1 caution, unlike the race that you were in. So I'm wondering how well the outside line came in the second race last night. Since there were so many green flag laps.
Yeah, that's a good question. I know when I was out there last night, the entry into 3 and into 1, there was some time to be had there where you could really roll the top, but you had to get it pointed back down to the bottom about the middle of the turn, or there just wasn't much there on the outside from then on, from middle off. But yeah, last night's race in the Davis Chassis Works Contender Series, there was a handful of cautions in the first one. The second one was pretty smooth. So maybe we'll see what happens here tonight. We're already on lap 10 of 150. And as soon as these things are clicking off here, almost just under 17 seconds. So they're getting around here pretty quick. And handling will become a premium if this thing stays green. Go back here to Samuel Roush in the 13 car, side by side, still with Donald Clark. You got Michael Goddard just behind them in the 38 as it's pretty tight coming out of 4. And more so out of 4 than turn 2. Does it really tighten up out of the turn? It feels like the radius of the turn really tightens up out of 4. You'll see some guys get into the door of each other. Roush finally gets around him, and Michael Goddard's looking under him. And Donald Clark may be on the choo-choo train as he's maybe heading backwards on the outside. Looks like Jimmy Mullis is starting to put pressure on Cameron Hamilton as he's not wasting any time trying to work his way to the front. Just behind them, just out of picture, is Joe Schaefer Jr. So he's doing the best he can right now to do a little damage control. It's still early on in the race. Looks like he's showing a nose under Matt Rolfe here, making his way into the top 5. Not a 3-time series champion for nothing there in the 6 car, Joe Schaefer Jr. out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. Still side by side. Now I know that me and Ryan Doucette had a really good battle for probably about 10 laps side by side, and he finally got the better of me on the outside because he was just better. But we'll see what Matt can do here as we're on lap 16. The track temperature is already shot up about 12 degrees from where it started from. So it's starting to get hot. Now, Ty, I'll go ahead and ask you, you may know more about it than I do. For track temperature-wise, I know these cars tend to put off a lot of heat and stuff like that, but how much should track temperature jump up during the race, ideally?
Well, I mean, at night it's not going to be, I think, as maybe dramatic because you don't have the the heating of the sun with the track already being hot. But I think really the track temp, I don't know. I mean, you got to figure the headers are awful hot, and the more cars you've got on the track, the hotter it's going to get. So I'm really not sure how fast it should heat up, but I don't really have a problem with it in sim. I expect it to heat up. So that's really hard to. It's really hard to test against though when you're making your setups to simulate a track heating up. So that's something you have to take into account. Usually it's going to loosen the car up a little bit.
Yeah, as the track temp gets hotter, the tires have a little bit less grip, but 93 degrees, that's one thing I've never, out of all the racing and stuff like that, it's not a lot that they talk about like on TV or anything like that. So unless you're actually there and you're a racer yourself, and that's something you can keep track of, it's something that's not common knowledge. So I don't have too much expertise in that. As finally Joe Schaefer Jr. does get around Matt Rolfes. They're battling side by side for 5th. And currently Trevor Edwards is still leading the way. Jimmy Mullis has made his way up to 2nd, and he's tracking down Trevor Edwards as he was about, that time he's about a 10th and a half faster than Trevor Edwards. So Mullis he's on rails right now, and he's been known to sneak up some shows. And so if he's got something figured out here, as his other competitors, he's trying to fight in points as 5th with Joe Schaefer Jr. and then 8th and Jim Caudell Jr. So these top 10 guys especially are extremely fast here right now. Some of their lap times are pretty impressive. Steve Mullis now up on the rear bumper of Trevor Edwards, and Edwards has moved up about a half a lane there in 1 and 2. Mullis is still right there on that white line in 1 and 2. Edwards is just up a half a lane period. He seems like he's getting pretty decent drive off, but Mullis is just really rolling the bottom right now.
Yeah, that he is, and I know that Trevor's not going to make it real easy to pass. I would say that Trevor's the Ryan Newman of SARA. He's really hard to pass. It's fun to race Trevor, race against him and try to get by him, but he
got into each other a little bit.
He did, yeah. But he's hard to pass.
Yeah, I've had my experience with him before as well, and it is fun racing him, but it's frustrating as hell too sometimes because he is extremely hard to pass, and he can probably drive a ill-handling race car better than most out here. So as we have our first caution of the night, it looks like it was Keith Medeiros. He's facing the wrong direction as Mark Royer comes flying through there. Almost nails him. Here comes the leaders as well. We'll go ahead and go back on the SARA TV instant replay to see what happens. Looks like he's here with Kyle Souza, Chris Canfield in the 0-3. That's Souza in the 7. Going down into 1 and 2. There's Donald Clark up top. These guys are almost 3 wide. Coming out of 2. They get it figured out. Going down into 3. On it looks like this. Oh, it was just terrible luck. It looks like there's a 70 car. Russell Brown got loose. Pogo did off the inside wall, and it came up and hit Medeiros, and then Mark Royer comes flying through there, almost murking Keith. So a little tough luck there for Keith. A little damage on the left front. He can kind of get that fixed, and maybe he can get a lucky dog here and get back on the tail end of the lead lap. Like I said, currently Trevor Edwards is your leader, and he is he's led the whole race so far. So that was our first caution, and Trevor did start on the pole here tonight. Currently his best laps at a 16:56. Led 30 laps here tonight as well. Like I said, Jimmy Mullis working his way up here to 2nd place. Cameron Hamilton's 3rd. Ryan Matthews is 4th, and round out your top 5 is Joe Schaefer Jr. Practice too much besides actually in race as far as doing the restarts and stuff, because it's pretty hard to kind of simulate there a little bit. But what do you feel is best as far as trying not to spin your tires? Do you short shift, or do you start in a higher gear, or what?
Yeah, I mean you can try to short shift it, but honestly, when the track heats up and the tires get a little bit worn, it may not be the best. It may be a really good idea to start in third gear.
Well, we'll be able to tell here a little bit, and you start seeing some tail ends of these cars go left to right and start to fishtail a little bit. We'll see who has the wheel spin. I think last night I didn't spin the wheels in third, but if you can, we get a better restart. If you started in second, you can nail second. You had to be real ginger with the gas pedal is where it wanted to go. And if you got too happy with it, and you started slapsticking it down, up and down, it'd spin the tires pretty easily. But it's on Trevor Edwards here for the restart. Jimmy Molson on the outside. We'll see if this outside has, any grip or any speed in it on this restart. His car will pull off here in just a moment. There he goes. We are back to green, green, green. You see some guys with some wheel spin. Edwards had a little bit. Cameron Hamilton had a little bit. And if you're going to spin the tires in second, third is the best way to go, but it's faster to do in second gear, but it's way more challenging to do as well. But Edwards is going to have the lead coming out of 3 and 4. And Matthews may be able to pick up third here on the outside, as he looks like he's going to. He's going to pull right down in front of the 10 car of Hamilton. Hafer Jr. is going to be there in 5th in the 6 car, and you got Tim Bills and Matt Rolfe battling out for 6. These guys are still side by side. We're going down the backstretch, and Jim Caudill Jr. is going to fall in just behind them as he's still running in 8th, and our fastest qualifier here tonight, David Corian's at 9th. Roush gets a little bit of bump from A.J. Rogers there in the 13 car. Roush has finally made his way up into the top 10, having a decent night here. Looks like Trevor Edwards is having some connection issues.
Yeah, it looks like aliens.
If you're Mullis, you got to be careful here. Obviously you don't want to get a hold of Edwards. Edwards going to be up back just a little bit. As it looks like there's some guys that are venturing up the racetrack here now. And we got a new leader in the 40 car in Jimmy Mullis. If you're the rest of the field, as Ryan Matthews is going to finally take second, Edwards is going the wrong way. And time before the race, we were kind of talking about as far as practicing stuff here. The car tends to get loose on you, especially around this joint. And if your car is perfect, probably early on, you're going to be in trouble later on in this race.
Yeah, and really this track here, for some reason or another, if you're a little bit get a little bit too much stagger built into the car, the rear stagger, this track is notorious for the car getting really loose on entry. And once that car starts to get loose on entry, it's a handful to drive, and eventually it's going to eat up the right rear, and you wind up spinning out or in the wall one.
Yeah, if you don't have any confidence in turning that wheel, especially on entry and the way these turns are and the radius that they're built into, it's going to create a long night for you. And that's one thing you don't want to do around this joint is turn right. But Edwards looks like he's hanging on to it here for now in third place, as the top 10, pretty much the whole field here is now single file. And it's, as stated earlier, I think it's about Jason Tarasenko. It's hard to pass around this joint, and especially with this build, it makes it a little bit harder. You touched on that last night in TeamSpeak after the race. And you have to have a really quick car, a really fast car to make some passes here once the tires start to wear off.
Yeah, and you could really see that when Sam was trying to get under, I can't remember who he was racing with a little bit earlier, but it took Sam a good 10 laps to get around someone.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like currently right now Matt Rolfe is the only one that's trying the top side here. He really hasn't lost any ground. Also hasn't gained any ground either, so his net gain or loss is still 0. But if you might as well try something here now, especially if he's not too happy with the car. Now, I know that I gave Matt my setup from last night, and for me, it was just a little bit loose in, a little bit loose off, which isn't a bad thing. At least you know that it's pretty easy to make a change to it, knowing you won't affect really the entry or exit like you want to. He likes a tight race car, so I don't know what all he did to it, but right now he's not doing too bad on the outside. Just ahead of him, Trevor Edwards is on the outside as well. Those are pretty much the only two cars that I can see from that are running the outside voluntarily. As DK is starting to look under Matt Rolfe here now. So he may be just a little bit slower on the top side. DK was only about 400ths faster, so not too much, but they could be equaling out here pretty much. And Jimmy Mullis is still your leader. He's led 11 laps here, 12 laps now. Track's heating up pretty good. CDK finally got around Matt Rolfe. Now he's working over Cameron Hamilton. And Hamilton throws it in there until he's seen Elvis, and then got a little tight, pushed up the track. DK's going to take that position. Now he's up to 7th. So the fast qualifier here tonight starting to pick his way forward just a little bit as that car may be coming to him.
Yeah, it looks like Hamilton's kind of tiptoeing in that car right now.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what you spoke to just a minute ago. If you're loose on entry, especially around here, with the speed you carry, as these cars are getting up to close to 130 mile an hour down straightaways, and throw that thing off into turn 1, especially turn 3. 3 seems like you can get the car pretty loose. It's more loose in 3 than it is in 1. And you just don't want to be chasing the car around here. This car is too fast on the track to be doing that. DK and Hamilton still battling side by side, and you know, it's keep reiterating it. You know, you have to have a faster car, much faster car to get around the guy, as it's hard to put the power down as they almost hit going down into 1 and 2. If DK gets, Hamilton's really rotating pretty good up top there. Guys are still side by side. That's on lap 55, just over a third of the way through this at 150. Hamilton's going to end up taking that position back. So maybe the top side is coming in here as the track temperatures then creeped up to 95 degrees. Hamilton goes back down low. DK gets a little bit loose. Matt's still running the top side. Roush is starting to creep into the picture here just a little bit, as this is a battle for the 7th position. Guys got it figured out. Go back up here to 3rd place. We got a good battle for 2nd between Ryan Matthews, Joe Schaefer Jr., and Tim Bills. Like I said, Tim Bills qualified 2nd tonight. He started a little bit further back due to the 8-car invert, and him and David Kokorian are teammates. So you know they got a pretty good piece here, and he's making his way, trying to find his way onto a podium spot into 3rd place. And Jimmy Mullis is coming up to a lap down car, and that's Mark Royer. Don't have to worry about him too much. Mark does a great job of running his race and you know, moving out of the way when he needs to for the leaders. Schaefer Jr. is going to get low here under Ryan Matthews. He got a good run out of 2. And we'll see what he can do here, Ty. See if he's able to complete a pass. David Kokorian couldn't do it to Hamilton when Hamilton was up top. But I have a feeling this lap down car may play in someone's favor.
Yeah, I believe he's able to do it.
Yeah, he's able to get by him. Looks like Matthews went ahead and just threw the white flag and went ahead and fell in behind these guys before Caudell Jr. got up there and did a little damage control, went ahead and fell in 4th. So Joe Schaefer Jr. is up to 2nd, Tim Bills is 3rd, Ryan Matthews 4th, and Caudell Jr. is 5th. And we'll see if Schaefer has anything for Jimmy Mullis, if he's able to reel him in. Now he's got a little open track in front of him. Bills isn't putting too much pressure on the rear end of him. Wants to keep track of the lap times here and see if he's able to reel Mullis in. Now we know if you're with us last week, as he was just a shade faster than Mullis that last lap. If you were with us last week, you've seen Joe Schaefer Jr. kind of spin at one of his favorite tracks and didn't have the greatest of runs last week. I know he's a little bit disappointed in that time. Was he a little extra motivated coming in here tonight to try to come away with a good run or possibly a win?
Yeah, I think last week might have been even partly my fault. He fell in behind me, and I was having to park the car in the middle of the corner to get it to turn. So I probably slowed up too much, and he got on the brakes, and then got on the apron last week and spun out. So maybe I can take some credit for that. He didn't want to run into me. But, yeah, I mean, there's certainly some motivation there because, I mean, we're struggling. We're really struggling to figure out something to work in this car. So looks like it's a pretty good piece tonight, though.
Yeah, I mean, he was just a little bit faster than Mullis there last lap as well, so he's slowly just chopping away at this lead. Mullis was barely faster that time, so he may be able to run him down here as the field's starting to spread out just a little bit. Now, as I stated earlier, and I forgot to speak to it, so go ahead and speak to it now while we got a moment, Hyde's Pride Leather and Sheepskin has their head-to-head throwdown, which basically means that we would choose a random row for the Hyde's Pride head-to-head throwdown. A random row, and basically extra money's on the line for tonight's race. And that row was row 4, which just so happened to be David Kokori and AJ Rogers, and those guys are currently running 10th and 11th. So whoever finishes in front of the other for tonight's race, get a little extra coin in their pocket. I don't know if they know that going into it, but since they're running side by side, it's going to be interesting to see who ends up coming out on top and winning that money. So thanks to those guys for putting that up there. Hyde's Pride's been a huge sponsor with SARA for a long time here now, and there's, like I said, without all of our sponsors, we couldn't do what we're doing here tonight or any other night as far as that goes. So big thanks to those guys. Also, if you're willing to or wanting to come out here and see what you got with these guys, first what you need to do is go to racesara.com or Sim Auto Racing Association on the Facebook page and sign up for the league. From there, if you want to race the super late models, you can would have to go through the Davis Chassis Works Contender Series. Basically what you do there, if you run well enough, you win, show that you can run clean, and you may get promoted up to this Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series and run with these guys. So go to racesara.com or Sim Auto Racing Association to sign up for that. Now, if this doesn't suit your fancy and you're just watching this race, we also have other series. We got the Street Stock Series that race on Tuesday nights, and we have our Dirt Night where currently we have the UMP Modifieds and Dirt Midgets, but I think that's going to be switched up for next season as well. So be sure to go to the website or the Facebook page and hit like and keep updated on all the new changes and exciting sponsorship that are coming on board with us next year. Looks like Joe Schaefer Jr. fell back to third here. Caudell Jr. has made his way up to fourth. And Joe was kind of hanging there, reeling in Jimmy Mullis just a little bit, but looks like Bill's finally worked him over. We'll see if Tim Bills can do anything with Mullis and reel him in. We're at halfway. It's lap 75 here for the Midwest Powersource 150. We'll go back here to sixth place with Trevor Edwards, Matt Rolfe. There's in the 10 car, Cameron Hamilton, and 13 on the outside of him, Samuel Roush, David Kokorian. He don't want to be left out, so he's going to join this group here. As these guys are battling for the sixth place spot, like I stated, Matt Rolfe is going to get the advantage on Edwards coming down. The backstretch of 2 going into 3 and 4. Looks like the track temp is kind of peaked here at 96 degrees currently, so we've only had one caution, and this top side's starting to come in here pretty good. Looks like Roush is going to go ahead and pick up one. He may try to pick up another one here on the outside of Edwards, as he's getting a pretty good drive from the center off. If we can go on board here, this always jinx it each and every week, it seems like. Let's go on board here with Samuel Roush. Let's see what he's seeing as he's in a great battle here side by side with Cameron Hamilton. Ty, why don't you talk us through here just a little bit of what we're seeing and what's going through Samuel's head?
So I know when you run high, you got to be really careful when you're exiting the corner. You don't want to be up towards the wall. So, you're up towards the wall, but you don't want to get too close. You want that car to rotate down and kind of just really roll the center because the guys on the bottom, really, they need the whole track to come up to be able to pass you. Your car is there, so they can't really come up, so you're taking away part of the track that they need to complete the pass. So if you can get a good run off the top of the exit of the corners, then getting into the corner, you may be able to carry enough speed to get on around them coming off.
Yeah, as him and Hamilton made contact there, like I said, it never fails. We go on board with someone, and that's where action happens. As David Krikorian's going to capitalize on both of their mistakes there and get around them both. But Roush is going to go ahead and throw it in on the outside here once more. But yeah, it's extremely difficult to run the high side, especially here, and then some other tracks as well. But that was a few laps there, and you've seen some action as it happened right there on Samuel Roush's cars. He's still ninth, fighting for 8th spot over David Krikorian. Once these things get upset, they are a handful to keep control of. They kind of always have been, but they definitely are now. It seems like when you start swapping ends, you might as well forget about it. Put 2 to the floor, and it's a clutch and a brake, and just hang on to it. Go back up with your leader. We'll go ahead and run through the field here as we got some guys spread out. Go back up to your leader. Like I said, it's the number 40 car of Jimmy Moss. He was last season's champion, and he's trying to come away with a win here tonight, maybe close that points gap. Maybe he can be back-to-back champion. Jimmy Moss, he's out of Midland, North Carolina, and his JDR Graphics Chevrolet. Just behind him is Tim Bills and a 30. Oh, so we got a caution. No caution yet. Mark Rory got turned around right in front of the leaders. As I just looked away, I see him spinning down to the inside. No caution, so we're still green. As that tightened up second, third, and fourth. Did you catch what happened there, Ty, by chance?
No, I did not.
Neither did I. So it's something happened there with Mark Royer. He got loose and spun down to the inside. No caution came out for whatever reason. And looks like he was able to get away. I think he's going to pull it. Yeah, I think he pulled it down pit road. No, he sure didn't. But he's still out there. Go back up here to Tim Bills here once more. And like I said, Tim Bills is currently second as Will and Dillon Motorsports Chevrolet. He's out of Sturgis, Kentucky. Right behind him is, like I said, the 3-time series champion, and Joe Schaefer Jr. He's with the Posse Group. And his number 6 car, his left-hander chassis Ford Fusion. Just behind him, filling up his mirrors in the 1 car, that's Jim Caudell Jr. Like I said, he's won the last 2 races here in the Semi-Auto Racing Association. He's won 3 on the year, but he's starting to peak at the right time, and he's giving Joe everything he wants. And if you're Joe Schaefer Jr., you don't want to let him around you. You already got one guy behind you that's close in the points, leading the way. You don't want the guy who's extremely close to you in the points to get around you. And so he's going to make Jim earn it, that's for sure. In 5th is Ryan Matthews in his 51 car. Had a good run here tonight. Out of Mechanicsville, Virginia. 6th place is Matt Rolfe. He's in the number 5 T4X Sim Marketing Solutions Toyota Camry. Alcona, New Hampshire. There's David Krikorian. Like I said, we spoke to him earlier. He was the fast time here tonight, and it's number 66 Will and Dillon Motorsports Chevrolet. Working his way up through the field here, currently winning in the Hides Pride head-to-head showdown against A.J. Rogers. 8th is Samuel Roush in his 13 car with the Dynamic Auto Sports Group. Midwest Powersource Dodge Challenger. Billiken piece he has there. 9th is the 10 car of Cameron Hamilton. Got a Kingsport and his Taylor Hamilton Insurance DMC Auto Super Late model. In 10th place is Trevor Edwards. This is Sim Marketing Solutions Toyota Camry. He's out of Shepherdsville, Kentucky, just right down the street from me. 11th place is A.J. Rogers in the 17 car. Out of Cloverdale, Virginia, in his Midwest Powersource Ford Mustang. 12th place is Michael Goddard. Michael's having a pretty solid run here tonight with the top 12 in his 38 car out of Fort Myers, Florida. How close is that to you, Ty? Do you know?
It is not close.
No, okay. In 13th place is Brandon Wilkinson in the 56 Chevrolet Camaro. Wilkinson's out, I don't know where the hell you say that, Pawcatuck, Massachusetts. He's in a Sim Marketing Solutions Chevrolet. 14th, we spoke to this guy. He's a sponsor for tonight's race and a sponsor for last week's race, Jason Tarasenko. That 21 right out of Langley, Virginia. It's Midwest Powersource, our insurance options, best overhead doors, dynamic auto sports, Corvette. 15th had a good battle with this guy last night in the Davis Chassis Works Contender Series here. It's in the 79 car of Adam Jocelyn. Adam's out of South Paris, Maine, getting everything that he wants there from the 96 car of Justin Warner. Don't have Warner on my sheet. You see him, he's in the Mopar 98. It's a good looking ride that he has there. 17th is Kyle Souza, currently getting everything he wants from Chris Canfield just behind him. Souza's out of Somerset, Massachusetts. It is Bay State Sewage, Columbus Energies Chevrolet. You got the 03 there behind him, who is Chris Canfield. He's not on my sheet here either. Looks like he has, like he sponsors his own race cars. Good for him. 19th is Matthew Eddy. He's out of Midland, Michigan, and is Howes Racing, Don's Towing, JVM Racing, Chevrolet Corvette. And a guy that's saying that, there you see Keith Meteros just behind him. Keith is currently one lap down. And you see him with his incident. And Keith's there's out of Cape Coral, Florida. Mike Woods Designs, Toyota Camry. 20th spot is Brian Helm, 26 car. Brian's not on the sheet either. Need to get that updated. Talk about him, where he's from. He's got Coilbound Motorsports on his car. 21st in the diversity program is Russell Berry. As we have a caution, we almost got through the rest of the field there. Russell Berry is in the 4 car. We'll go ahead and give him a quick shout before you see what happened here. He's out of Hayes, Kansas. Rock Chalk Jayhawk is Berry Trucking, Auto Works MD, and it's David Kokorian. Can't find DK on my thing here. Let's go back to him and see what happened to DK. As looks like Warrior got spun out going down the front stretch. He collected Matt Rolfe and David Kokorian. Those two guys were running up front. And pretty much got a 2-for-1 there. Tough deal as Royer's going backwards on the, he's doing his best imitation of a 3-time series champion driver that would remain nameless. So I'm not too sure what's happening with Mark Rory there. Obviously, ill-handling car, but it's going to end the night here for David Kokorian, which has huge implications for the head-to-head showdown. So A.J. Rogers just kind of keeps it going straight. He'll be your winner for that tonight. And also, tough luck there for Matt Rolfe, as his car is bent all to hell in the front, probably messed up the toe and everything else to go along with it. If these cars didn't handle bad enough as is, that's the last thing you need is some bent up front suspension parts and front fiberglass there.
Yeah, that's a prime example of Mark losing all forward drive, coming off of 4 and then correcting back, and the car just got around on him.
Well, it's a tough break there for leaders. I know Mark didn't do it on purpose or anything. Mark's, as we stated earlier, super clean racer, great guy, does a lot for our series and, for SARA as a whole. So it's obviously it's nothing that he's super proud of, and I'm sure he'll be on our Facebook group page here before too long and apologize for it. But that's the way it goes. I mean, this is racing, right? Anything can happen, and that's why you got to stay on your toes. And it's like I said, a tough break there for Matt Rolfe, and that allows Tim Bills and both Schaefer and Caudell to catch up to Mullis here, so we'll be able to see what they have and if they're able to do anything with Mullis once we go back to green. As we stated once before, we have to watch out for wheel spin. It's going to be key here on this restart. I know I picked up some positions last night due to some guys having some wheel spin, and there's AJ Rogers got me on a restart due to me wheel spinning. So definitely, if it's hard to pass, that's the best time to do it. It is on a restart, especially if someone makes a mistake. As we're at 1 to go, the restart will be on Jimmy Mullis. We're on lap 112 of 150, so we're coming down to it. See how the rest of this shakes out. Does anybody have anything for Jimmy Mullis? Can Joe Schaefer Jr. come away and do some damage control and stay in front of Jim Caudell Jr. and Jimmy Mullis? And Jim Caudell Jr. go back to back to back. We'll see how it plays out here as we're about to go back to green. Pace car is in. We are green, green, green. Caudell gets a good start. He's going to try it on the outside here. Bills didn't get off to a terrible restart either. Now we got Caudell and Schaefer side by side as they go down to 3. Got some cars in the back there. They're side by side still. Tight racing. As looks like Matt Rolfe there is currently not doing terrible, but as we get going here, I have a feeling his car is just going to fall off. Joe Schaefer Jr. finally gets in front of Jim Caudell Jr. Caudell's going to do the crossover, see if he shows his nose. As that's tight getting down into 1, that inside wall can sneak up on you as Matthews gets to the rear of Caudell. Caudell gets down in the apron. He's going to still drive it up on the outs or the inside of Joe Schaefer Jr. getting down into 3. That was a heck of a move there by Jim Caudell Jr. Go back down into 1 and 2. Like I said, that inside wall can sneak up on you, and you can tear up some stuff as you get down in there. But Schaefer's going to hold off Caudell. Strong move by Schaefer. Desperation maybe seeking in here a little bit, knowing he needs to hold him off to pad his point lead as much as he can. We got a battle for the lead here currently as well. So, Ty, if you're Tim Bills, you know that the time is now as we're almost coming down to 30 to go. What do you do, and how do you try to get around Jimmy Mullis here?
Jimmy's a heck of a driver, and I think that you fill up his rear view mirror as much as you can and hope for a mistake. Tim's cars look really, really good all night, so I think he's got something for him.
Yeah, he's looking down to the inside of him now, and 3 and 4s are side by side and extremely close coming out of 4. Mullis is still your leader, but I don't think that's going to last too long. As Tim Bills is down to the inside here once more. That's where Mullis has been all race long, is on the bottom. Now he's got him off of it. We'll see what Mullis can do here on the outside, but I think Tim Bills is going to end up muscling by him. Bills may have got the inside wall there coming out of 4.
I believe he did.
Yeah, he's got a little damage on the left front. It's not slowing him down any as these guys are still side by side. And if you're Joe Schaefer Jr., you got to be licking the chops a little bit, knowing that the guy behind you in the points is up here getting a battle for first, and it's going to do nothing but let you close in on him. Down to 29 to go. Guys are still side by side, putting on a hell of a battle here for the lead as we have another caution. As I was just picking up, and I think they're going to give it to Jimmy Mullis here, which if you're Bills, you can't be too happy about. Not too sure what the caution was for. Damien Roush has got a ton of damage on the front of his car. It may have been from him as he was running up towards the front there. Go back and check it on the SARA TV instant replay. See Roush there on the outside of the 38 of Michael Goddard. Going down into 1 and 2, and Goddard just comes up a little bit, and Roush gets loose, and then Tarasenko gets into it. Russell Berry ends up getting into it there as well. Not 100% sure what happened there. Looks like Goddard may have pushed up just a little bit, and just, you know, him and Roush got into it and spun Roush out and just collected a couple other guys. So tough break there for Jason Tarasenko, who was fast in practice and working his way up here, fighting for a top 10 spot. And got some tore up race cars there, but they'll go down pit road trying to get them fixed. And Jimmy Mullis and Tim Bills get to try this battle here out once more. give a shout out to Christian Challoner and Colin Allman, who's in our chat here on the YouTube page. Thanks for joining us here, guys. Glad you're not out here with us. And yes, we do have Ty Spearman up here in the booth with us, Christian. That's your buddy. So, you know, if he's not going to get it done on the track, he definitely get it done up here in the booth. So appreciate you coming up here, Ty.
Oh, yeah.
I have a feeling this still can be good. It looks like Bills was definitely faster than Mullis here. And, yeah, as we spoke of briefly, Tim Bills does have some left front damage on the car. It looks like he may have just tagged the inside wall there in 3 and 4 when he was under Jimmy Mullis. How much of an effect do you think that'll have on him and his car, Ty?
I think if it does anything, it gives a little bit of character.
That's it. So it shouldn't hurt his handling or anything like that too much, or?
I don't think it will, no.
Yeah, I don't know how aero dependent that area of the car is, or hurt it too much at all. If anything, it may have messed with the toe if it did hurt it, which I don't think it did. I think it's more of a, like you said, a visual thing than anything else. As we're doubling them up, restart will be on Jimmy Mullis here once more. See what kind of restart he gets here. Kind of what we had here last night in one of the races. You had cautions breeding cautions, except that was usually with just 1 or 2 drivers in the last race. See what happens here. You're back to green, green, green. Ryan Matthews spins the tires. Like Bill spins the tires. Joe Schaefer Jr. is going to capitalize on that. He's going to shoot down in the inside of Tim Bills as they go into 1 and 2. Bills fights back on the outside, going back down into 3. If you're Schaefer, you know you got to get around Bills ASAP as these laps are counting down. We're almost getting down to 20 to go as Mullis is starting to squeak away here from him. Bills is fighting back on the outside. He may have the momentum off of turn 2 as he does finally have him cleared. We'll see if Schaefer throws it down in there. He thinks better of it. May roll the bottom here just a little bit better as it's really getting stacked up there behind him. These guys are figuring it out. Like I said, these are the best guys on the service, and right now they're going 2 or 3 wide, oddly enough here. And everyone's still pointing the same direction. Hard racing there going back in the field, and there's still some hard racing here for second between Schaefer and Bills. And if you're Caudell, you're just waiting for one of these guys to slip up to get around them. And if you're Mullis, you're hoping this whole thing goes green at this point. It looks like he clipped the apron there just a little bit. That's going to upset the car. They go down into 3, extremely close. Like Joe's just having to tiptoe just a little bit coming off, and that's kind of what you spoke of to earlier, Ty, is the inside car needs the whole racetrack to complete the pass.
Got one on the apron in between 1 and 2.
We're still green.
It's Adam Jocelyn.
Jocelyn, it looks like he's going the wrong way, unfortunately for him. Looks like Joe may finally have Bills cleared. He does. He moves up. We'll see if he's able to run down Jimmy Mullis at all. As Caudell's going to throw it in there into 3. He's going to try to take the spot over Tim Bills. Maybe that damage does have a little bit of an effect there on his car. The track temp has actually gone way down here. It's down about 8 degrees from what it was on that last run. So the track temp has definitely cooled down. And we have another caution. So if you're Joe Schaefer Jr., you're now in second place on this restart. And it looks like Bills is going to be third and Caudell is going to be fourth, which is what you want if you're Joe Schaefer Jr. Yeah, I'm not too sure who that caution was. May have been
Was 7 and the 5. Kyle and
Kyle Souza and Matt Rolfe.
Yep.
Cool. We'll go ahead and go back here to the replay and just going into it. Looks like Rolfe got into Souza, and good lord, Tarasenko and Brian Helm in the 26 are Helm's still breathing. I think someone needs to check on Tarasenko. Those two got into it together, and then I'm not too sure what's going on with Matt. He's just Probably still upset with the earlier incident. Producer Clay Snyder's telling me that there may be a concussion that's happened on the track. And we do have the gentleman's rule here. We haven't had to speak on it too much tonight, as we didn't have too many cautions prior to these last couple too. Basically, if you do cause the caution, it's best to go ahead and claim it. Get an EOL. So you go back to the end of the longest line for causing the caution. If you do not claim your caution and the admins go back and watch the race, as they always do, and deem that you were the cause of the caution, you did not claim it, you'll get an EOL in the results. You do that too many times in one race, and you may get a one race or more ban. So it's always best to go ahead and claim your cautions here. I'm not too sure who will claim this one. Probably will be Matt. But it doesn't matter, as we're coming down to 13 to go. Probably got 2 to go just there. Jimmy Mullis has been leading the way here for the majority of the night tonight, as he's led 100 laps of 138. But as we've seen, he's had multiple contenders come up there and try to take that lead away from him. The one who's gave him the most grief's been Tim Bills, and he'll be the one starting behind Jimmy Mullis on the restart. And you got their point leader in Joe Schaefer Jr. starting on the outside of Jimmy Mullis here. So it's kind of a catch-22 situation with Schaefer here, as he's your point leader, and you don't want to give up points, but you kind of want to gain points as well, but you don't want to get wrecked and lose more points. So, you know, if you're him, what do you do here, as we're going to be coming to green before too long?
Well, it's really a catch-22. I mean, you can try to work your way down and try to get in line behind Jimmy Mullis, but at the same time, you got the guy right behind you that's also close to you in points. You don't want him to get by. So I think, honestly, you stay up there and try to make it work without wrecking.
Well, we're back to green, green, green. And he got off to a good start. Looks like he's going to go back down, and so is Caudell for third. Here comes Bills. He kind of gets up into Jim Caudell Jr. Bills is wanting third back. Gave a little nose to Caudell. Caudell's going to get down on his door here into 3 and 4, as they're extremely close for second. Schaefer is keeping up with Mullis. If Schaefer can get to the rear end of Jimmy Mullis, not saying he'll hit him, but he will be completely in his mirrors. There's a wreck on the backstretch. Goddard gets turned around right in front of. Oh, no one hit him. That was great driving there by those guys, but Goddard got turned around there at the very end, and this is going to cause a shootout here. Go back and watch that on the SARA TV instant replay on Michael Goddard to see what happened. You see he's down low. He's got Mataros in the 60 behind him, 51, and Matthews in front of him. Matthews and Hamilton kind of banged doors coming down the front. And it looks like a little maybe, that's just extremely tight racing. Not sure if Goddard had to check up just a smidge, or if Heath got into the back of Goddard there, but it hooked him down the back, and remarkably enough, no one hit him after that, so it didn't jump too many cars, as that could have been a huge pileup on the backstretch.
And it was certainly entertaining to watch Tim and Jim. Wow, that's three letters. Tim and Jim go at it there, because, man, they were beating and banging, and I think they're having a little bit of a disagreement.
Yeah, well, we've seen Bills get into the rear of Caudell, but, you know, DFO, you know, green flag's out, so you got to go. And especially here at the end, Bills knows he has a fast piece, so if he can get around Caudell pretty quick, he may be able to give Schaefer a run for his money. And obviously, being on the restarts being key here, having positions key. You know, Bills knew if he could be third, he'd be on that inside line and maybe be able to make up a position pretty quick. So we're going to be coming down to probably 5 to go when we go green. 5 or 4 laps to go. I have a nice little shootout, and we'll end up seeing what happens. I think it's going to get extremely interesting. My question is if Joe Schaefer Jr. gets behind Jimmy Mullis, does he give him a little bump and run, or does he just go ahead and stay in second, knowing that he's done pretty good damage control and not allowing Mullis to gain too many points on him, and he gains points on Caudell, or does he just, you know, say F it and just let's go for the win and gain max points possible, as Joe is an aggressive driver and he likes to win.
That's true, and I'll be honest with you, Joe's like me. I'd wreck my mama to win. So, uh, you know, if,
Yeah.
if he if he can get up close to him and get him a little bit loose, that's exactly what I do. So, yeah, get up there and get on his back bumper and try to move him up a little bit. But he's going to have to do it in 2 laps because there's no way we'll make it 5.
Well, I'll take the over on that because I think we will. And we got 1 to go here, so the Mullis will have to do it at least 1 more time. And see what kind of restart that he gets. I believe Joe is going to try to, I have a feeling what he's going to do here on this restart, and we'll see if he's able to creep just a little bit on Mullis on this restart. And if he can be anywhere around him, it's going to get interesting. Thanks for everyone in the chat here tonight. You're going to watch this. We're back to green. Bill spins the tires a little bit. Schaefer gets a great restart. He's going to get down in behind Mullis here. We'll see what he does as he gets through this, and he gives him a little bump. That's kind of what we're talking about. It didn't upset Mullis too much. You're going back down into 3 and 4s with 4 to go, coming to 3 to go. Mullis is a little bit loose. Here comes Caudell Jr. on the outside of Bills as he's maybe trying to find a little fast line on the outside. Mullis starts to pull away just a little bit over Schaefer. Schaefer throws it into 3, and he's getting in the entry really well. Looks like he almost got into the back end of Mullis here once again. We see what he's trying to do. He's trying to loosen him up, see if he can find a way to get under him. As we know, catching them's one thing, passing them's another. It's 2 to go, coming to the white flag here. See if Joe Schaefer Jr. has anything for Jimmy Mullis on this last lap. Mullis gets a little bit loose on the entry. It looks like Schaefer backed up his entry a little bit. He's going to get a good run coming down the backstretch. They're coming down to the 3 for the last time. Joe Schaefer Jr. throws it down in there. He's got nothing for Jimmy Mullis, and Jimmy Mullis is going to come away with the victory here tonight in the Powersource 150 here at Five Flags Speedway. Man, that was exciting racing. Tim Bills comes away in 3rd. Caudell in 4th. Ryan Matthews will round out your top 5. And these guys showed right here why they are the best in iRacing, as they did finish all that under green.
They made it 5 laps. Awesome. That was great racing.
That was superb racing, and Joe gave him everything that he wanted and then some, and Mullis was able to come away with the win here tonight in his number 40 JDR Graphics Chevrolet Camaro. So he's doing some victory victory donuts here. Go ahead and burn it down. But congratulations to Jimmy Mullis coming away with the win. Joe Schaefer Jr., I know he's going to be disappointed. He's going to want the win, but if you ask me, he did exactly what he needed to do here tonight. And that's finish ahead of Jim Caudell Jr. and do damage control for Jimmy Mullis and only allowing him to gain just very few points on him. So he did exactly what he needed to do here tonight. I know he's going to say that he wanted to win and everything. And we'll have an interview with him here before too long and get his thoughts on tonight's race and especially on that finish there.
Yeah, I just don't think he had enough forward drive off the corner to really get up and challenge Jimmy.
We'll see what he has to say here tonight as we're waiting for the guys to get out of their cars and see if we're able to get a hold of Tim Bills here first, as he came away 3rd here tonight. He was your 2nd fastest qualifier. Go ahead and bring in the driver of the number 37 car, and Tim Bills. Tim, great run here tonight. You gave Jimmy Mullis everything he wanted there, and you had a couple cautions that came out that kind of ruined your momentum. Why don't you tell us how your night went as a whole, and then your battle there towards the end with Caudell?
Oh, I'm going to take it for what I got here. That was a pretty good run, I think. And, man, that caution when I was underneath the Jimmy, I wish it wouldn't have come out. That was good racing.
Yeah, well, it was super entertaining up here to watch in the booth, and we seen you drive up through the field there a little bit. You and DK were fastest here tonight as far as qualifying. You made your way up to 2nd, and on one of the restarts there about halfway through the race, you're there with Mullis and was able to run him down and got him moved up out on the outside groove and before that caution came out. So you definitely had a good piece. What were you missing there late to really contend for the win?
Yeah, we just got a little bit tight there at the end, and just used the car up.
Well, it's, back-to-back weeks that you had good runs, last week at Southern National and then here tonight at Five Flags. Next week we're at Martinsville, completely different track from the last two that we've been on. You got a nice little flat paper clip. So what are you looking forward to next week? And you think you got anything to follow up with another good run?
I think next week is a crapshoot to survive. I've never really done good at Martinsville, but we'll hope to do a little better this week coming up.
Well, we'll definitely keep an eye out for you for the next week in Martinsville for the Lokotoko Designs 150. And congratulations on your third place victory here tonight. It was entertaining to watch. You work your way up through the field and battling up here in the top 5. And before we get you on your way, is there any thanks or shout outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, I got to thank my sponsor, H&H Sign Supply, and Justin Brooks Designs, and then Wheeling and Dealing Motorsports. The guys over there worked their butts off this week again on getting the setup where we have, and it shows.
All right, bud. Well, congratulations here once again, and maybe we'll talk to you again next week.
Yep. Thank you, Derek.
All right, bud. That was Tim Bills. Came away third place here tonight. We'll go ahead and bring in the 3-time series champion, the number 6 car, Joe Schaefer Jr. Joe, we seen you. Let's first talk about that last restart there. You're on the outside of Mullis. Got a good restart. And what were you lacking there towards the end to where you just couldn't quite get up to his bumper or get around him?
Well, first, let me apologize to Jim. I don't know, must have been 20, 30 laps to go. He crossed me over coming out of turn 4, and I totally cut him off. I ran him onto the apron and pinched him. Same thing I complained about early in the season, and I should not have done that. Should have let him race me. I should have been a little more clean. But on that last restart, you know how broken this car is. We're really good after restarts. I think we had too tall of a gear, so I was fast for about a lap or two. If I was a different person, I probably could have given Jimmy the bumper in turn 1 right after that restart, but would have given him too much time to get me back, and I'm not trying to make any enemies out here with 2 weeks to go in the season.
Well, you did what you had to do here tonight, to extend your point lead over Jim Caudill Jr. Obviously, with Jimmy finishing ahead of you, he shrunk the point lead on you just a little bit, but you had more to give to him than you did to Jim. So, you had a disappointing finish last week in Southern National. You come away with a great finish here tonight and a great race overall. Next week, we're at Martinsville. We spoke to Tim Bills, and he pretty much thinks it's going to be a crapshoot. Do you think you can come up with anything to maybe come away with a win or maybe even a solid top 3?
Well, we'll have to see. I've been kind of operating through Bill Martin here for the past few weeks, and between him and lately Bill, but also Ty Majeski, I've been kind of just building off of them and trying to build what I can. Tonight I made a few fine-tuning adjustments, and I think the car would have been better had I just left it with what Bill told me to do. I guess we'll see what we have. Martinsville's one of those tracks that, with this new build, with the dynamic track, who knows what it's going to be, and it's just weird enough to be something Bill will be good at. So try to get him on here this week, and we'll work on it together.
Oh, don't worry, Joe. We'll have some for next week. You know that's my favorite track.
All right, if you say so.
So does that mean, Ty, that you're going to be racing next week?
It's Martinsville. I'd race a tricycle there.
All right, so then you'll be able to, you'll see both posse members down there next week. And Joe, congratulations, come away second here tonight. Is there any thanks or shout outs you'd like to give before we get you on your way?
Yeah, Charlie at the Button Box Shop, Cody, Lokotoko Designs, Left-Hander Chassis, and as always, the posse, and you guys for putting on the broadcast.
All right, bud. Well, it was a joy. You all put on a great battle there, so we have plenty to watch here tonight, and maybe we'll talk to you next week, and good luck to you then.
All right, fingers crossed.
All right. That was Joe Schaefer Jr., like I said, our 3-time series defending champion and current point leader in the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series point standings. But now we have tonight's winner in the Powersource Midwest Powersource 150 here at Five Flags. We got Jimmy Mullis. Jimmy, congratulations on your win here tonight. You led 113 laps out of 150, and you had a couple of contenders in Tim Bills giving you a run for your money there about midway through the race, and you had Joe on your rear bumper there on that last restart. Won't you tell us about that last restart there a little bit and kind of what you were wanting to do on the restart and what you were worried about if anything at all?
Yeah, well, the second to last restart, when it was me and Tim going at it side by side, they had me so nervous, man. I was shaking. And then, uh, luckily I was able to get the caution at the right time, and I had a nose on him barely. I don't even know if I really had him. Might have got lucky with the timing because it didn't seem like I had him. But then, the restart where Joe was behind me there at the end, I was kind of nervous, but I knew if I just, got off the start pretty good, I'd be okay. And I got to thank him for not driving through me in turn one because I about parked it on him. So that was almost really bad. So shout out to him for not taking me out.
Well, we have a couple races left in the season. We're at Martinsville next week, and when we finish it up at Lanier, you close the point gap just a little bit on Joe Schaefer, and you definitely closed it in on Jim Caudell as he finished fourth here tonight. So with these last two races, and mainly you have to take them one at a time at this point, we got Martinsville next week for the Lokotoko Designs 150. A, have you raced there in the super late model, and B, what do you expect from your car there?
Well, Martinsville is probably my favorite track on iRacing. I have raced there in the Super and everything, so I'm pretty excited to go there. I've got a good feeling about it. I think we'll, be strong. Then Lanier is, Lanier. I was pretty good there last season, but I don't know. We'll see. But in terms of the points, I think I'm pretty much out of it. I think Joe's got it unless something crazy happens and Jim can pull it off, but that's just kind of the way this season's gone. I didn't really have much luck in the beginning, and Langley I won, and then had a couple good races, and then Southern National kind of killed it completely. So right now, just trying to win these last two races, or at least close out with some solid finishes, and move on to next season.
Well, you put on a hell of a performance here tonight, and we'll definitely see how you do there next week. And it's never over until it's over. We've seen some crazy things here with the super late models in the Sim Auto Racing Association as far as points go. So anything can happen. And like I said, congratulations on your win here tonight. And before we get you on your way so you can go celebrate in Victory Lane, is there any thanks or shout outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, obviously you got to thank everybody at the association for all the hard work. This was a Chalmers Parker and Tyler Price setup. It was really fast tonight. So shout out to them. Shout out to Cam Hamilton, Jim Caudell, everybody over there. We work pretty hard every week to try and make sure the cars are good, and we've kind of been able to have good cars every week. So again, shout out to them. Shout out to JDR Graphics, as always, for giving me the prettiest paint schemes out there, and RacingVirginia.com, Lockdown Racing, and everyone else on the car, as well as you guys for the broadcast, and Matt for doing what he does for the league.
Well, it's definitely our pleasure, and obviously without you guys out there putting on great shows, we couldn't have a great show ourselves to broadcast. So we appreciate that, and with any luck, we'll talk to you again next week, and maybe you'll put it on the top box again.
Thank you, buddy.
All right. Tonight's winner, Jimmy Mullis. He's out of Midland, North Carolina. Came away with a great win here tonight, leading 113 laps. And Ty, these guys put on a great show here tonight, and they proved why they're the top guys here on the service. Even with a broken car, they're still able to put on a great race. And we've seen some good passes and some good battles.
Oh, it was a great race. We did see some passing tonight, which is good. And Five Flags is a pretty wide track. For the most part, the guys did a heck of a job.
Yeah, I was thoroughly impressed. Next week it might as well be like a NASCAR Cup plate race with Martinsville. I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see how that race ends up playing out. Historically, it has not put on great races. But it can, right? Because it's obviously a great short track. So we'll see what happens there next week in Martinsville for the Lokotoko Designs 150. But that's next week. We'll go ahead and wrap up here for this week. We'll bring up the results, go through the rundown of where everyone finished here tonight. As we spoke with these three guys there that finished 1, 2, 3, and Jimmy Mullis, Joe Schaefer Jr., and Tim Bills got second place in points. Jim Caudell Jr. In fourth. Ryan Matthews with a solid run here tonight in fifth. Cameron Hamilton and Keith Medeiros there in 6th and 7th. Brandon Wilkinson in 8th, Chris Canfield 9th, and Justin Warner with a nice top 10 finish there. 11th is AJ Rogers, and he was your winner here tonight for the heads as the head-to-head Hides Pride Leather and Sheepskin Showdown. So he'll come away with a little extra coin in his pocket. 12th was Brian Helm. 13th was Kyle Souza. 14th, Adam Joslin finished a nice top 15 finish there after that spin. 15th, Matthew Eddy. 16th, Matt Rolfe. 17th, Russell Berry. 18th, Samuel Roush. 19th, Tyler Brown. 20th, Mark Royer. 21st, 22nd, Michael Goddard and Jason Tarasenko. And thanks again to Jason Tarasenko there for what he did there for us for the Sim Marketing Solutions Super Series and sponsoring the races and sponsoring the one here tonight and last week. 23rd was Trevor Edwards. 24th was David Kokorian, who was our fastest qualifier here tonight. Came into tough luck there about halfway through. 25th is Donald Clark. And last but certainly not least, 70 car, Russell Brown Jr. Go ahead and bring up the series sponsors. Give them one last shout out here. Sim Marketing Solutions, who sponsors tonight series. Davis Chassis Works, who sponsors the Wednesday night Super Late Model Series. Hides Pride Leather and Sheepskin, who's doing that head-to-head showdown each week for the Sim Marketing Solutions Series. Midwest Powersource, sponsor here tonight for the 150 lapper race here at Five Flags Speedway. Callaway Investments, our Tuesday night Street Stock Series sponsor. Race1.us. Canadian RailServe, the hub at used sim racing giveaways. Lokotoko Designs, who will be sponsoring next week's race at Martinsville Speedway. Dynamic Auto Sports, USO, Can-Am Racing Series, and East-West Modifieds. So Ty, I appreciate you coming up here with me this week. I'll be a little sad that you won't be up there in the booth with me next week unless fortunes are unfortunate for you and you get taken out in the race. You're more than welcome to come up there if you please, but if you're going to be racing next week, good luck to you. And like I said, I appreciate you coming up here. I hope you had fun.
Oh, I had a blast.
All right, well, that's going to do it for us here tonight. Like I said, special guest up here in the booth is the old Wiley vet and Ty Spearman. I'm your host, Derek Robinson. Producers, Clay Snyder. Series admins, Matt Rolfe. This is SARA TV. We'll catch y'all next week for the Lokotoko Designs 150 at Martinsville Speedway. Be sure to tune in on YouTube. Go ahead and hit that like button on the Facebook page at Sim Auto Racing Association. Go ahead and hit that notification subscribe button on the YouTube channel so you know exactly when we're going live. And like I said, you'll come next week. We'll see who comes out on top. Will it be Jimmy Mullis be able to close into point lead, or Jim Caldwell Jr., or will our three-time series defending champion Joe Schaefer Jr. keep his point lead and pad it just a little bit, maybe come away with the win, or will it be someone new? You'll have to find out. Until then, you all have a good night.